This is a government run by right-wing podcasters. Okay, this also kind of makes me feel like this is like an inside job or something. Like this is, no. This man said, we know you can't reveal too much, but what can you reveal? And the dude said, we don't know anything. We don't know anything at all. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I don't know what state he's in. I think we found his gun, but it could be somebody else's gun. Really, it's Utah. There's a lot of guns around. Seeing sections of Ezra Klein piece that has me feeling completely insane. I genuinely cannot comprehend, not even a little bit, what liberals think is going on. Status quo maintenance, especially of late, requires an endless string of feigned delusions, retcons, and amnesia. I am not being flippant when I say it's a genuine skill, and like any artisan craft, can be very well compensated when it is in demand, as it's now more than ever. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's precisely what's going on. For the likes of Ezra Klein and many other liberal thinkers, they refuse to reckon with the reality that is imminent. They are getting paid handsomely to dull the masses into submission, to make them feel as though fascism isn't here. Okay? Genuine question, have you received direct threats since yesterday? Are you joking? Yes. Sometimes I forget that, like, that's not a normal part of the political process. So whenever I joke about that kind of stuff happening all the time, it comes across as like shocking to people. Yes. Damn, your TikTok audio is being used to spread awareness.
Before people say, wear a bulletproof vest. Again, he got shot in the neck. A bulletproof vest would not have saved Charlie Kirk, okay? Security did not save Charlie Kirk. The only thing that could have potentially saved Charlie Kirk from getting shot in the neck was if our administrations, prior to this one and this one as well, actually had reasonable gun control as a policy provision in the immediate aftermath of, I don't know, 100 other school shootings that took place.
That's crazy that people are lip syncing that. What was on? You look different? Yeah. There's another take on Klein's op-ed. The leftists are not mad at Ezra Klein for speaking out against the killing of Charlie Kirk. We're mad at the specific claim that a man who spewed hate for a living was practicing politics the right way. Most of us abhor both his killing and everything he stood for. Speaking only for myself, I think it's good when people across the aisle condemn the killing and offer sympathy to his family. And silly to be mad at Zoran for doing so. But there's no reason to praise a man who ever extended that basic humanity to anyone outside his own tribe. And it's so unbelievably stupid that we have to pretend, even for a minute, that the far right in America isn't openly fantasizing about killing us every single day. It's like the role reversal that liberals engage in. You know how I said, and we'll keep saying over and over again, that like modern conservatism is about inventing a reality to get mad at, and then constantly getting mad at that reality that you invented to get mad at. Liberalism is almost the opposite side of the coin, where there are monsters, okay? You're stuck in a room with bloodthirsty monsters in this hypothetical scenario, okay? They want to kill you. They don't hide that they want to kill you. They're salivating. They're talking about the bloodlust that they have. And the liberal in the room is just saying, no, just it's fine. It's fine. It's the room is dark. You're just imagining things. Everything is going to be all right. Let's just keep it chill. I mean, look, there's obviously differences in opinion. Those guys want to eat us. We don't want to be eaten. But I think there's room for compromise here. There's room for bipartisan compromise. Maybe we can get half of the leftists to be eaten in the room, and then everyone will be fine. Their appetite will be satiated. They'll be okay. Let's just dialogue. And that is becoming increasingly just as psychotic as the reactionary worldview that is built on fantasy, pure hallucinations of like being in a permanent state of victimhood. At what point will liberals turn around and go, okay, maybe things are not fine, right? Because for a lot of people, A lot of normal people, they look at what's going on and they go, things are not fine. But when you look to the liberals in positions of power, whether it be the Democratic Party or whether it be the writers, the people like Ezra Klein, the thinkers, they just keep saying, no, it's just everything's okay. Everything's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Civility must continue. They are going to civility. They are going to civility themselves to the gallows at this point. They're going to be like, there's going to be a rope around the necks of prominent liberals, and they're going to look around and go, well, at least the process, at least the procedural hurdles have been cleared, and the process is actually still stable. The institutions remain. The institutions remain. Even if it's being used against me right now in this completely bastardized fashion. How is that not different than living in denial? Sure, it's not like the violent denial, the violent reality denial that reactionaries engage in, okay? But it's just naivete. And at a certain point, it's beyond naivete. It's either complete capitulation, appeasement, the idea that like you will be spared by this violent behemoth of an ideology when you certainly will not. History has shown that you will not, right? Unless you become a loyal champion of said violent ideology, you will not be spared. Okay? Liberals would be like, oh, thank God the Holocaust was legal. Exactly. Who was it who said the liberals are the ones playing the soothing music while the Titanic is sinking? I don't know. There was one other piece, but Jasper Nathaniel says, Klein's last op-ed warned, this is not just how authoritarianism happens. This is authoritarianism happening. 4 days later, he cast Trump's most devoted disciple as a paragon of democratic politics. Insane. Yeah, that's crazy. And I don't know if these guys are doing it deliberately. I don't know if they're doing it out of a fear, out of like a real discernible fear of political persecution or something. They're using their institutional prominence to like whitewash, launder the reputation of Trump and Trumpism in general. But it's just, I don't know. I can't I can't understand it. Maybe a good test is, would I have said these things about Charlie Kirk when he was alive? If not, then perhaps you are under the mistaken impression that being murdered ennobles you. Yep. And for the record, liberals do believe that. They do. Once you're dead, you have to be remembered as a good guy, no matter what. Incredible to watch the Charlie Kirk shooting receive 100 times more media coverage than Israel assassinating the prime minister of Yemen. Yep. I mean, that in and of itself is a reflection of white supremacist values. Okay. The tribute of Charlie Kirk to look at, worth looking at. Stop. Bro. Hold on. Canada does not claim him. He's yours now. Bro, you can't just give another right-wing hack to us, bro. I hate this shit. I love Canada. Okay. I love Canada. I love my Canadians. But the one thing I can't stand is that you send all of your worst demons down here, bro. And then they're all right-wing. They're all so right-wing. All your right-wing want to be American anyway. But like, you need to stop pushing these dudes down here. Seriously. What the brother, there are so many demons in American politics right now that are just straight up Canadian. So many right-wing demons, dude. I just don't understand why Canadian reactionaries will be like, I'm American, actually. And then they will literally migrate to the United States of America just to be American reactionaries. It's a good trade. It's not. We need to put a tariff for that shit, dude. Honestly. Stop having a place they feel at home in. I'm trying my hardest, bro. I am trying my hardest. You don't understand. It doesn't work. The more I try to make it so that like right-wingers feel uncomfortable, the more people keep saying, the more people keep saying it's I should be killed. They leave Canada because they think it's communist. I don't know what to say about that. I'm gonna be honest. That's I mean, Canadians are sorry donated $20. They leave on their own so they don't have to be around us woke commies or whatever. This is divine punishment for the Canadian slander. Bro, the Canadian slander came because of this. Is chicken or the egg? All right, we got more on this while we wait for the press conference. Democrats react to President Trump blaming the radical left.
President Trump blaming the radical left for what happened to Charlie Kirk yesterday.
Well, look, the bottom line is this is a time that all Americans should come together and feel and mourn what happened. Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an
They made a website with a list of people they think incited the shooter. Yeah, I mean, that's Israel shit, low key. I feel like the American right is becoming more Israel style by the day. Like they are making like Canary Mission style websites to like dox people for not reacting in the way that they wanted to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. It's pretty crazy, but you know, we are Israelifying every day. Very cool. This is why I used to always say like Nick Fuentes and those like American fascists, they're just like they mostly come across as like jealous that they don't get to do what Israel is doing, but for white people here in America, you know?
affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame.
This moment requires leadership that brings the American people together as opposed to trying to further divide us. Political violence in any form against any American is unacceptable, should be denounced by everyone, and moving forward, we have to figure out a better way to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
Charlie was outspoken on the trans issue and many issues, many.
See, they're saying it. Like, how come the New York Times can't write that in the obituary? You know what I mean? They're saying it. Republicans love it. So for me, it's like, if the Republicans are openly presenting it as like a good thing, but the liberal newspapers are refusing to talk about this shit, then what are we doing? Like, it almost feels like you're priming up your audience to feel some type of way about this, where it's like, this guy just got taken out. Like, it's not even about like creating a structure of permission or justification for what took place. Okay. But it's just crazy to not even like put a footnote in there to be like, yeah, this guy was pretty incendiary.
Issues, but there's one particular group.
Because if you do, then you have to admit he deserved it. No, I've been saying it all day. I've been saying it for the past 2 days. You know, I don't think he deserves it. I don't think anybody deserves that. But also, I think it's important to be honest. You know, it's important to be honest. The reason why the New York Times is not doing that, of course, is because they are worried that their audience might think that. Can you just admit the time of liberal institutions aligning themselves with fascists is now? What do you mean, can you just admit? That's what I'm seeing, I'm experiencing, and I'm yelling about it every day. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm trying to snap liberals out of the stupor that they found themselves in, where it's like, the time is now.
That's been running around killing Americans in the name of transgender ideology lately, and it's transgender activists or individuals or those who proclaim that they are. Doesn't mean they're all murderous, but there's a particularly high
Wow, she's woke. She didn't say all trans people are murderous. Some of them are very fine people, I guess.
percentage committing crimes these days. And it is responsible.
There's a very high percentage of trans people that are committing crimes these days. What are you saying?
And important to say so, which is what Charlie was doing. The thought that this was a person acting to avenge some sort of trans person or objecting to Charlie's stance on the trans issue is entirely chilling to me, because when Charlie and I first became friends, this was an issue he wasn't even talking about that much, but he was seeing was resonating with some on the right and was a growing issue. And he told me that one of the reasons why I kept coming into his algorithm and catching his attention was because we were talking about this issue, and his sister, who's also outspoken and a Christian, had been forwarding him, I guess, a bunch of videos she'd seen on our show. That's what he told me. And of course, like many on the right, it became more and more in his lens over the past few years because it's grown in the public sphere. It's hard to avoid. And you've got the vast majority of Americans right now ignoring it out of a sense of politeness or kindness. And then you've got this smaller faction of us who have been jumping up and down about it. And Charlie became one of them. And I, of course, had become one of them and am one of them and will continue to be one of them. And on that front, to Charlie's killer, there's no such thing as a trans child.
I'm sorry, but you're an insane person. Actually, I'm not sorry to say that. You're out of your mind, lady. What are you saying? There is not, like, we don't know anything about the shooter, man. What are you saying? What is going on? She's out here being like, nope, I know for a certainty that this was a trans shooter. She even basically alludes to the fact that, like, this trans issue wasn't that significant until we realized that, like, a lot of dumb respond to it so positively. So we've just been harping on it over and over again. Isn't it cool NBC gave this person a show and millions of dollars? Yeah. Like, what is happening? How do you live in this media environment? I know the FBI presser is about to start, chatter. I'm literally here. I'm here. I'm watching it. Is that guy, does that guy have a mohawk? Oh my God. Oh my God, that guy has a mohawk. Oh, that's crazy. That's cool. That's cool. And he's a gamer. He's got an Alienware laptop too. Yeah, that's the AT guy for sure. That's not a law enforcement officer. What is
One
this?
kid who's a big Hasan Piker fan said he was on his stream today being like, guys, this we should not be excited about this. This is not good when rogue individuals think that they have a right to take out people on either end of the political spectrum, right? Because I think Hasan was scheduled to debate Charlie Kirk in like a week and a half. And I don't disagree with him at all, right? This is not the way that we solve problems. This is not the way that we deal with situations like these. And arguably, Charlie already did the greatest amount of harm in the last several years, indoctrinating, brainwashing.
What if it was your dad? He had kids, man. What are you talking about, brother? You're making it, okay. Here's what we're not going to do. Okay. Going forward, I love having Republicans in this community. Okay. I love having Republicans in this community. I love hogs. I love doing hog watch. You are welcome here. Okay. But if you're going to address a grievance, it can't be made up. You can't cry about a thing that I didn't say, for example. Okay. Because it used to be more fun when we used to wrestle with the hogs in the mud, when they would, at the very least, like, arrive at something that I had said and that they'd gotten mad at. Because this is not a productive conversation, right? It's not a productive conversation if you're just like making up a scenario in your mind about what you think I've said that I've never actually said, and then getting mad at that thing. Because then it comes across like I'm dealing with like a schizophrenic person. You see what I mean? Like, I'm fine with you coming in here and addressing a genuine grievance that you have with something that I have actually said, right? It's awesome. I'm fond of that, right? But you can't just be like, the implication here is that, like, I think this was good, and that's not something I've said. As a matter of fact, we're watching a video of someone who is repeating that I was talking about how this was a bad incident. And it's always very interesting because, like, people only chime in about this shit when it's like very clearly press conference about Charlie shooting about the show. I know. You did a whole interview saying it's bad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anomaly uncle. Okay, I'm trying to understand. All right, good. You can hate me all you want, by the way. I don't have an issue with that. I actually kind of like that. Okay? But just, like, at least make it directional at something I have said, right? Also, the Republicans are and not even Republicans, but, like, this guy is literally just a This guy is a straight up Nazi, baked Alaska. We can't do this. We can't do this thing where like I'm very clearly being sarcastic, or I'm very clearly making a joke, or I'm very clearly talking about like what someone should do at a debate. You know what I mean? And then take that sincerely. Okay. It's one of my most, it's just a pet peeve that I have that I absolutely despise when people do this thing where they're like, well, this guy is my opposition. This guy's my ideological opponent. So he is incapable of using metaphor, using analogy. He is very clearly being sincere in this request. It's like, that's not what's going on. Okay. That's not. Don't do that. Most serious lies hear him saying this was recent. It's not even just me, chatters. It's literally Dan, the Dan, the CEO, and then like Mike from PA, and then me talking about like Tom Tillis, and then me having a conversation with Dan Stalkman back when we were actually friends, as a matter of fact. And it's repackaged from Tech Tone as well. I guess Dick Tone is still out and about. Also, that's not even the worst version of that. There was another right-wing account that also boosted that, and then Elon Musk replied to it. Are you the only one they're laying this at the feet of? No. Hassan, you need to seriously take these threats and delusional people seriously. Like, I hardly say this, but I'm genuinely worried. Don't do IRLs in America for at least a couple months, please. I'm sure they're laying it at other people too. I'm just seeing it because I'm the recipient, you know? But I'm certain that they're yelling at like everybody. No, the press conference hasn't started yet. They're yelling at they are yelling at Ilhan Omar. Obviously, that's another person that they're yelling at. They're yelling at everybody. They're yelling at like Nancy Pelosi and shit, man. You don't understand. Like they, it's not coming from a place of it's not coming from a place of like logical disagreements or whatever. It's just like it's just angrily posturing at perceived enemies that have created an environment of perceived victimhood, you know?
Young men for the alt-right pipeline. Like, so much damage has already been done. So I guess what I'm saying here is that it's okay to have complicated feelings about it. It's okay to say my feelings don't fall into one side or the other of some of the public reactions that we're seeing. This is not good. I think the political right will spin it in a way that's very bad. They will try and use it to take away our, Second Amendment rights. We're already watching the Trump regime trying to trample on and take away the Second Amendment rights of trans folks. And
bro was so horny to say that someone is claiming that I'm calling for the murder of right-wingers when I have not. That they sent a threads.com post. I'm sorry. That is like that's worse than going to Blue Sky, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. You might as well send me a Pinterest. Apparently Threads is huge internationally.
In this country. I made a video just last night where I was talking about how political violence delegitimizes resistance movements. It turns popular opinion against resistance movements, and it gives the regime an excuse to try to take away more of your rights and to crack down.
What makes you different than Charlie Kirk? This could happen to you. Not trying to be baity, but you should be careful, man. Bro, I know. Why are you guys telling me something that I already know? And it's been repeated a million times over. Like, I get that it's coming from a place of like kindness. It's a sincere opinion. You're like worried, right? But like, I know this already. I know. Y'all gotta stop being more anxious about what might happen to me than even myself. Hey, was a government official in Utah that was fired today by the Utah State Legislature for social media posts by Charlie Kirk. Oh my God. Where the fuck is Kash Patel, bro? Oh, they're coming out. Right on cue, baby. Let's go. You're about to see the worst press conference. I'm telling you right now, Kash Patel, incapable of sticking to a script, utterly incapable of coming across as a sincere person. It is about to get crazy in here. Who knows? Who knows what kind of information is going to come out of this press conference? Cash
Hi,
Money
everybody.
Patel,
Thank you for
baby.
being here today. My name is Hillary Kellner. I am the Communications Director for the Utah Department of Public Safety. This evening, we have FBI Director Patel.
Our takeaway from this is going to be like, did Cash Patel do this? Because the way he's talking about it is like so suspicious.
Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson and Commissioner Anderson, as well as, I'm so sorry, Commissioner Bo Mason, as well as some local partners here present with us today. Governor, we'll kick it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight. We appreciate the media and the partnership we have with you in helping us to get information out to the public so that we can catch this assassin and hold him accountable. We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this evil human being. So we're going to cue up the video right now. Show that. I've asked Commissioner Bo Mason if he would narrate to you what is happening in this video.
I'm done. If the TMZ watermark is on that, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay, it's not. It is a new video.
If you look up in
Okay.
the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was chromed out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video, and I'll narrate as we walk through that.
They have nothing, by the way, which is
So
crazy.
here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges and some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black t-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive t-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it.
Dude, that's crazy.
A pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right.
Bro just walked away like Ezio, bro. This is
After he
Assassin's
crosses the street,
Creed.
This is where he moves over into
No
the
fall
wooded area.
damage.
This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements.
Bro, that's
and to locate
okay.
that
Okay,
firearm
look.
in that wooded
I know
area following
the
discovery
shooter
of the
profile
suspect.
made it seem like he's like some young possible groiper, but I mean,
So here's the still
I mean, this
photographs.
dude,
I mentioned these have been enhanced.
he looks
These
skilled,
are
man.
slightly different than what
Am I
we
crazy?
introduced Earlier. Please pay close attention to the T-shirt. Like I said, very distinctive with that American flag and that eagle. The hat with the triangle and the sunglasses. If you'll go to the next picture, please.
Oh, what the f- are they gonna
Backpack
leak?
as well. All identifying features that we're hoping the public can help us identify and lead us to this suspect. Next picture. And again, there's a better picture of the hat with that triangle logo, and again, the T-shirt. Blue jeans, and you get a good look at those Converse tennis shoes as well. We have pushed these out, we'll continue to push these out, and we just ask for the public's cooperation through the public. The tips that have been coming in are what are giving us our next leads and enabling us to continue to further this investigation. We've had great cooperation from the public, and we're continuing to ask for that as we move forward. Thank you.
The suspicion is the rifle was in his bag, and it was
so much,
put together on the spot.
Mason. I want to thank Director Patel and his team. It's great to have them on the ground with us tonight. We've had several briefings, and he's had an opportunity to walk the crime scene. We appreciate our local law enforcement here. Again, we have Mike Smith, who is the county sheriff here. We have all of our local chiefs of police that are here as well, all working hand in hand with the state and with the FBI as we move forward with this investigation. Now,
Bro, there's got to be a mother out there that's like, that's my son. You know what I mean? There's got to be a parent out there that's like, well, my son hasn't been around all day. What's going on?
I do want to share a couple.
You know what I mean? Like, what the?
We cannot do our job without the public's help right now. The public has answered our call for action. So far, we've received more than 7,000 leads and tips. I would just note that the FBI hasn't received this many digital media tips from the public since the Boston Marathon bombing. This case also highlights the dedication of our law enforcement community. We have 20 federal, state, and local law enforcement partners that are working shoulder to shoulder to find the person who committed this horrific crime. With their support, we've completed nearly 200 interviews. As you're aware, as has already been reported, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk.
They got nothing, dude. This is terrible.
We also continue to implore the public to support this investigation and come forward with any information. We are truly hopeful that this video and new photos will lead to even more tips. We are processing. We have an incredible team, a state and federal team working together to process those tips. We are going out in tandem to interview any potential person of interest or suspects. But we need, again, we need as much help as we can possibly get. Any videos or photos that you might have, the public, should be submitted to our digital media tip line, which is www.fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. Again, that is fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. You can also provide general tips about the shooting by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI, or at tips.fbi.gov. This is, I would just say, this is not just a local matter here in Utah. We have people all over the country that are helping to bring this perpetrator to justice for Charlie Kirk and his family. I will just add as well that, as was mentioned, there is a lot of forensic evidence that is being processed right now at both the state lab and the federal labs, federal lab on the East Coast. So we are working in tandem together. I would also just add a word of note for those people who are spending so much time on social media. I think Charlie said it best, that when things get bad, we should put our phones down and spend a little time with our families. There is
this guy really loved Charlie Kirk, by the way.
We are tracking our team, the state team, and I'm sure the federal team as well. What we're seeing is our adversaries want violence. China, we have bots from Russia, China, all over the world that are trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. I would encourage you to ignore those, to turn off those streams, and spend a little more time with our families. We desperately need some healing. We'll have more to say about that in the days and weeks to come. More than anything, we are going to catch this person. Last thing I will just say is we've been working with our attorneys, getting everything that we need, affidavits ready, so that we can pursue the death penalty in this case, and that will happen here in the state of Utah. Again, to the public, to those who are grieving, thank you for your prayers. I know we are feeling those prayers. I know the Kirk family is feeling those prayers as well. We pray that God will bless our nation at this very dark time. We can start healing by finding this perpetrator and holding him accountable, and we need your help to do that. Thank you.
Wait, nothing from... That's it? That's it? No cash money? No cash money? Dude. Bro, they knew if they had Cash Money Patel on there, people would be like, okay, you did it, right? Like, why are you being so weird and finicky? But it is alarming that this is the only new revelation we got from this. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. They gave us nothing. They know less than we do, man. What the f is going on? They know as much as the guy who was using Grok to artificially enhance the images that they released earlier. They're probably being careful and don't want the killer to know if they know more. Very common in investigations. Yeah, very common in investigations when you go, hey, we're right at the precipice of apprehension, but please, we are begging you to send us any information you have because we don't know shit. American public, save us. The fact that the FBI is so hamstrung now that they can't find the guy who shot their friend does not bode well for everyone who is not their friend. Incompetency. Yeah. What the f, man? No, that's what I was thinking too. It's like, dude. This puts the conversations that I've had with federal law enforcement in the aftermath of receiving like what they consider to be credible death threats in a totally different light. It makes so much more sense. They'll just have like a Discord printout of a screenshot and they'll be like, hey, this seems like these guys are useless, man. What is happening? I thought that they were just like around. I thought that they were around like they're just, trying to do like busy work or something. It turns out that is how it works in the background. All of the billions of dollars of television was just to make us think that there's like brilliant dudes back there, like, a team of lawyers. Like this is because that's what the FBI is, right? Like CIA's the criminals, FBI is supposed to be like a bunch of suits, bunch of lawyers, and they just get together and they investigate, they're diligent investigators. Turns out that's just movies, man. They just straight up are like, I don't know. You'd be like, where is the guy? You don't have anything on him? You don't have anything on him because this is the guy who killed your friend. This is the guy who killed your friend. And you're over here talking about like, as Charlie Kirk would want us to put our phones down and touch grass. It's like, no, man, keep the phones up. Keep dialing. Do something. What the f-? You made this a big deal, okay? And in some ways, especially, once again, too close to the issue for myself, okay? I am too close to the issue. So for me, I'm like, what is happening here? There's just no punishments. There's no penalties. There's no investigation. What's going on here? What the f-? Not even a little bit? Not even
today. Maybe he hurt himself during that jump, but I know he's a shooter and I know this. I mean, that could be happening right now. The purpose of tonight's press conference was to put out that video, not because you can identify him from that video. It was to garner more interest, garner more play, get more eyes on those photographs that come with the video. Yeah. They're trying to stir the pot because they're waiting for that call.
Yeah, I mean, they had this press conference scheduled for a little bit earlier in the day, and it's been postponed. I mean, actually now almost 6 hours since they, maybe more than 6 hours since they last said that they were going to have one, saying that the developments were coming rapidly. Do you see a difference between what we know today, based on what they said, and what they knew perhaps yesterday evening?
Well, I think the big thing right now is the video, right? So now they have this description, they have this the visual of the suspect. They walk through in this press conference. They walk through very specific details: the hat, the details of the hat, the details of the shirt, the details of the shoes. Why? Because something like that is going to stick out in somebody's mind and go, wait a minute, that guy has Converse sneakers. He's acting a little weird. I'm going to make a call. So crowdsourcing information by law enforcement is a common tactic, right? But the challenge right now is, we heard them talk about just the amount of tips that they're getting. The challenge is volume and velocity of these tips coming in. Every single one of them has to be reviewed, researched, and adjudicated as to, is this a valid lead? Is this actionable? Again, if you think about the volume that is a monumental task right now for the FBI and local law enforcement to do that. But it's that needle in a haystack. It's that one person in the McDonald's that says, I think I see this suspect. And that's where they can action off of it.
We also have with us Andrew McCabe, a former FBI deputy director. Andy, I wonder what you think of the progress of this investigation so far. They don't have an identity of this person, and they are.
Turns out when people don't like you, they don't want to help you. Brother, if you think the current FBI, who is led by a right-wing podcaster who knows Charlie Kirk personally, doesn't like Charlie Kirk, I don't know what to tell you. What is shocking about this is, like, this is a government run by podcasters, and they killed a podcaster. This is a government run by right-wing podcasters, and this dude shot a right-wing podcaster and killed him. So even if they didn't personally like Charlie Kirk all that much, or maybe they had like a disagreement or something, I feel like they would, at least out of, ensuring that this doesn't happen to them as, brothers in bond, other podcasters, they probably, I assume they would be demonstrating a level of competence beyond what they're doing currently. Not good. Bo Mason, the head of Utah's public safety, told NBC tonight the authorities have no idea about the identity and location of Charlie Kirk's killer, a remarkable definitive statement. This clip just aired on Psaki briefing on MSNBC. What? What is... What?
I know you can't say too much here, but is it your understanding that this individual...
Okay, this also kind of makes me feel like this is like an inside job or something. Like, this is... No.
...may be close by or still in Utah?
We have no idea. We're exploring leads for individuals out of state. And
this man said, we know you can't reveal too much, but what can you reveal? And the dude said, we don't know anything. We don't know anything at all. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I don't know what state he's in. I think we found his gun, but it could be somebody else's gun. Really, it's Utah. There's a lot of guns around. Why would they reveal anything? What are you talking about? Have you guys never watched like a manhunt, like a high-profile manhunt before? Is this your first interaction with law enforcement? This is remarkably bad. It's worse than, dude, they literally apprehended not one, but two random people, okay? Like in the immediate aftermath. And this wasn't like a murder that took place in a quiet neighborhood far away from prying eyes. Like, this was a public event at a college campus where there are a ton of cameras and a ton of people filming the event. Do you understand? Like, with Luigi Mangione, they went nutty mode, okay? They put the island on lockdown. They put New York City, Manhattan on lockdown instantly. No one in, no one out. He still got away, and they still were incompetent in the process, but at least like it seemed like there was a ton more effort and a ton more competence. Please lock doors, my handsome angel. Okay. Like, lock in like you did with Ryan Ruth. Is he a lib or a hog? I can't tell. I mean, he is hog-coded in the fits, for sure. Okay? He's hog-coded in the fits. And as soon as I took one look at Ryan Ruth and I was like, that's a liberal. Like, that's like a, he is wearing Converse, though. Hogs wear Converse, too. Converse is a lib shoe. I mean, I don't know. I think he might be griped up. Yeah, it's definitely a results-based business. This is a disaster. I will say, like, how many libs are in Utah, dude? I mean, there's some, but I feel like you need to be in a super densely slammed, libbed up environment to have a lib that's like cracked enough. You know what I mean? Like, there's not that many. I mean, I know they're all in Salt Lake City, and I know it's a college campus, so there's libs there too, right? But you have to, it's a game of, I mean, you're looking at this like a game of statistics, right? Like, there is a higher likelihood that there's going to be a crazy lib
in an area that is super densely slammed with a bunch of liberals. Because a person coming out and like taking the initiative and like planning this thing out and you know, taking the shot, all the stuff, lining up the sights, taking the shot, running away, all of that requires something extraordinary. A lot, like you have to be a lot more invested in the average person. So it's already statistically very unlikely that you're going to arrive at a person that's willing to do that. But then for that person to also be like in the minority in a state like Utah, it just makes it even harder. I mean, the fact that he like assembled and then disassembled the gun on the spot is also pretty crazy. What was the private jet theory you mentioned this morning? There is a private jet that flew out and like the ADB tracker was shut off, or at least like couldn't get triggered. But I don't think that was that's not crazy. It's easy to do that, dude. That's not that easy, man. And it wasn't an AR. Chatters, you say, okay, let me tell you something. You say like, oh, first of all, the gun's not even an AR. It's a bolt action rifle. Okay. That's number one. Number two, even if you were to, even if it was an AR, okay, it's not that easy to assemble an AR and then make sure that it's working and then shoot a person, a human being. Like, that's not. Why are you saying it is? It's not. A lot can go wrong. There's so many points of failure. This isn't Call of Duty. What the Plus, he didn't even have an AR anyway. It was a bolt action hunting rifle. This is why it makes me feel like this guy is at least like military trained or something, but I don't know. Maybe it's Utah. Maybe there's a lot of fucking people who grow up around farms. They go hunting at an early age. If he has that shirt that like disabled vets have gotten, as some in my community were saying, like that's a shirt that was sent out to disabled veterans. Even narrowing the timeline, he could have I guess he could have a disabled veteran relative if it's not himself, because he looks too young. There's a big difference between hitting a target from that distance and landing a kill shot in one attempt. According to reports, the casing was still in the chamber. He didn't even plan on taking a second shot. Yeah. I'm a disabled veteran and never got that shirt. Well, L for you, chatter. That's a L, big dog. Thank you for your service.
Individuals that live close by, we literally have persons of interest, tips coming in on the tip line that are spanning far and wide.
Hope you at least got maximum disability. You know what I mean? Hopefully you got 100% at least. So you got your shit paid out. SPLC says there's an active Oath Keeper group in the UVU area. Great. He instantly unscrewed that barrel of the rifle. Yeah, it has to be halved when he's jumping off that roof, correct? What's in his arms on the ground when he Assassin's Creed walking? Yeah, it looked like he just disassembled it. He assembled it when he got up, and then he disassembled it and then put it in his backpack. But then it doesn't make sense because he like trashed it later, right? Because they found the gun, and I think they found the gun assembled, or at least that's what they made it seem like. So that doesn't make a lot of sense either. So what, like he disassembled the gun and then assembled it again only to trash it? That also doesn't make sense. Is he wearing meta glasses in the new angle? No, I don't think so.
The focus was inside the courtyard area where the shooting had unfolded. Abby?
Yeah. Back in the room here in New York, Jonathan Wackrow, that neighborhood is, as Ed Lavandera just pointed out, going to have a lot of information embedded in it. A doorbell cam.
Bro, we have a crazy amount of surveillance in this state. Like, we live under a surveillance state, and it's kind of shocking when you see something like this where like a dude with a hat and glasses can just absolutely nuke all of that. Like, that is crazy to me that a dude, one hat, one skin tight Oakleys, and red states are basically living, it seems like, in an era where you could just like kind of do a murder. And if no one saw you physically do the murder, you were basically good to go. Or like bank robberies. You know what I mean? Remember back in the day, obviously I'm not that old either, but back in the day, you could just like kind of kill people and then, you know, they just had nothing. If nobody saw you do it, there was like no way to figure out if you actually did the murder. I didn't say back in my day. I said back in the day. Okay. And it feels like, I guess if you're in Utah, they're still like operating as though it's 1930s. Looks like the weapon is in his hands, wrapped in a shirt. You can see him handle it as he climbs down. Yeah, if you're a white dude with Oakleys and a baseball cap and like, you know, an American flag long sleeve tee, it's over. You're going free. They have to arrest. What are they going to do? Arrest 80% of the state? They can't do that. That's 80% of the state. They can't arrest everybody.
It's both. Both of those are good things.
Yeah.
Tons of video to go through, and you know, as Jonathan said, you know, you do that video canvas till you don't see him anymore.
Someone also brought up a really good suggestion. They said he probably has arm tattoos. That also does make sense for why he was wearing a long sleeve.
You want to get him as far as you can get him till you don't
Potentially.
have him anymore, because that might take you to the vehicle he jumped in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, knowing whether there was a vehicle that he jumped in is super important. And I'm not sure, that hasn't been
that's the
publicly
gun
revealed,
wrapped
but
around
if
the
they know
shirt.
that would certainly
Or
be
like
a
some
big,
kind of cloth.
Step.
Yep. And I mean, then, you know, there's the possibility of, well, did he go to the interstate? And then there's the second question, which is, we know the university parking lots had license plate readers, but the interstate might. The state police would know where they are. And, you know, if that vehicle, even if you didn't have the plate from the video, if it passed an LPR, you would get that as a piece of data. The point is, absent somebody giving them a great suspect that they arrest and confesses tonight, they'll do the hard slog, no matter how many days or weeks that takes.
Until the right tip comes in, because essentially that is...
Think about it this way. Look at the investigation to the Utah student murders.
Yeah.
Right? No real witness except who saw a dark figure leave the house. No motive, no connection between the victims. And they were able to piece that together with tiny bits of evidence that then came together with so many different techniques, from the video to the license plate to the cell phone towers to the video of the car stop from a police officer months before of a person who had already changed the license plate. These can come together with one bold call, like Luigi Mangione from somebody in a restaurant and the mom starting to get suspicious in San Francisco that that might be her boy, or it can come together through 1,000 pieces that finally fit together like a puzzle.
Hey, and Juliet said it. I mean, if you look at those photos, if you know that man, you know him.
Yeah.
That seems clear. I mean, we can't see his face and his eyes, but his demeanor, his height, you would know that person. Andy McCabe, I just want to ask you, Kash Patel, the FBI director, flew to Utah today, but did not speak. And this is after a couple of days of several tweets that really got ahead of what they actually had in terms of a suspect or a subject in this investigation. What do you make of the fact that we didn't hear from him tonight?
Cash money.
Yeah,
Cash money,
really
Patel,
hard to
baby.
figure out. There are many good reasons why you wouldn't go. If you're the director, you would not go out to the scene of an ongoing crisis, post-crisis investigation. I think that's many of the reasons why, you know, typically directors don't do that. One of the reasons not to do that is because the presence of the director imposes a huge burden on the field office. There's all kinds of arrangements that have to be made. There's all kinds of security concerns that arise. Transportation becomes very complicated. And that's the last thing you want to do to the field office while they're in the middle of investigating a critical incident. So again, it's strange to go out there under those circumstances. Why he went and then did not say anything at the press conference, I really don't know. I'm a bit at a loss to understand like what was the purpose of going out there. If you're there, you know, you probably want to at least make very perfunctory comments about appreciating the hard work of the men and women that are doing the investigation, and of course thanking your partners for the sort of access and the relationship that you have. So
yeah. It is
I really,
puzzling.
I don't even know how to kind of guess at that at this point, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I am curious. So, Jonathan Wackrow, do you have any thoughts about that?
No, it is odd, right? Because you announced that both the deputy director and the director were there. They came out. They walked the site. They assessed it. Now you're sitting at a press conference in front of the nation, and there's silence. Again, it's something that, again,
And that burden of the director and the deputy director in the field office. I mean, we were just talking about how much they have to do, how many tips they have to go through. Helpful, unhelpful in this moment?
it can be detractive, right?
I mean,
It's not additive to the investigation.
There is that risk that when your boss's boss and your boss's boss's boss show up together,
Yeah.
that the distraction is we're going to put a lot of effort into briefing the bosses.
Right. And
about
the
everything
briefings were definitely mentioned tonight. So
about
that was a
everything we
factor.
know and everything we're doing and answering their questions. That's time when the leadership is focused on briefing their bosses instead of leading the investigation. It can be very distracting. When they canceled the noon press conference because of fast developments in the case and announced that the director was flying out, I speculated two things. One, there's a break in the case and they're going to announce a name or an arrest. Or two, that there isn't a break in the case and they wanted to bring the power and voice of the FBI director to generate more coverage, which just makes it odder that he did come, he did show up dressed in an FBI raid jacket and jeans and then didn't speak. It's just
And that was a lost
If
opportunity.
nobody else
It
will
was a real
say
lost
it, I
opportunity
will. This
that,
guy looks a bit like
you know,
Charlie Kirk
because they
himself.
walked
Very
through
strong
that he was part of,
possibility
like,
we're in a
the
Looper style
investigation, everything like
situation.
that. That was the moment to reassure the public from the director's point of view. If you're there, tell the
Bro, I mean, they've run out of options. They have no idea. Might as well go with this. Don't let Kash Patel see this. He's going to run with this narrative, okay? If you see Kash Patel, if Kash Patel sees this, he's going to go along with it. Anything is possible. Anything is possible, man. Yes, I have seen the transvestigation of the shooter.
This is a moment of incredible tension for this country. And it strikes me that particularly on the right, there's been a skepticism about this idea of foreign influence and even this word disinformation. I was surprised to hear it uttered at this press conference, but it must be so serious that it was raised. I mean, what do you make of that?
It is, and I want to sort of pick up on the narrative of what is Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, whose biography is not consistent with the biography of former FBI directors, and who has made fundamental mistakes as an FBI director over the last 24 hours, getting ahead, tweeting an investigation, being wrong, focusing our attention on an Arab American or some crank in the crowd, all of it distracting.
That is what they did, by the way. They did. They literally, oh my God, that was actually kind of funny. They immediately went and arrested the only Arab dude in the crowd. Turns out he was a Heritage Foundation guy. They arrested the only Arab guy in the crowd. And it turns out he was a Charlie Kirk supporter.
The state is looking at this. It's worried about disinformation.
And they interrogated him, and then they have to release him.
People who
But
depend
they also
on him.
revealed his name in the
All voters,
process.
all citizens of Utah. And I thought that was interesting, and I don't know if that explains why Patel was not.
Why are you
asked
milking
to
an
speak.
assassination for meaningless
It is weird
content?
that he was
Fantastic
there
take,
and
man.
and
You're right.
wasn't,
I should
and
actually refuse to look at CNN. Have you seen any of the major news outlets? This is the news, okay? Obviously, I have my own proximity to the story as well, but you know,
you. People are angry. The president is directing our focus on a theory of the case that is just not true at this stage. We don't know who the guy is. We don't know what his motivation is. There's allegations about various groups and identities and sexual identities that are just not true. And that's where the Chinese and Russians
cover
fill the space with
the threats being made to
confirming these narratives
HBCUs.
that pit
The
Americans against
DNC
each
headquarters
other. So
received a bomb threat as well.
when we are looking for leadership, it is important to commend the governor.
As a former sniper, I can say that this accuracy doesn't require professionalism. You do need some experience, maybe 100 and 200 rounds total with a scope and a bolt action. However, what makes me think this was a professional acting is the fact that he got away so far that requires planning in cold blood, considering the amount of cameras and smartphones around. That's what I said.
Doesn't matter.
Like, I think the shot is also, I think the shot also requires training, especially when you're killing someone, like a human being, okay? But the fact that he was able to, like, set this up and then get away with it, and it's not even like, it's not like a totally random situation. Like, this is a major event. There are thousands of people there, and there's hella cameras everywhere. And even on the cameras, if you notice, like, his face is hidden. Like, not touching the railing, like not touching the stairway rails. I don't know. The bullet drop was calculated within a margin of error too, even if he wasn't aiming for the neck. The guy's a trained professional. There is no way that he left zero DNA behind. Also, that's the other thing. Like, how do you not leave any, like, I mean, sure, you got the arm sleeves, right? No arm hairs or anything, but like nothing. Like, you were on the gravel. He was laying down on the gravel. No hair. He left prints behind that are being processed. Look into the prints they found. Yeah, no, I heard, no, he has footprints, and they said paw prints. I don't think they said fingerprints. Dude's a paw prints, palm prints. Manimal. Yeah, he is a manimal.
Politics saying now I am nervous about my public opinions, which is perfectly valid.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are scared.
You know, Congress talks about, well, we want security details. But as Jonathan knows better than anybody, okay, so that's 6 person for 540 members of Congress, which comes out to 3,000 something. You'd have to double the size of the Capitol Police to be the equivalent of the Philadelphia Police Department.
We also have all of these hoax calls,
swatting
calls into HBCU.
Also, guy who left nothing behind. I can't believe that they were. I can't believe that they were making it seem as though this dude was like a trans activist that put imprints on the bullet.
Of copycats or retribution. And if I were not just a member of Congress, but anybody in the public sphere.
Article about the shirt.
And is the FBI, our law enforcement?
Last year, Holoscope Mag, we looked into why the specific shirt is in so many thrift stores and found out the charity behind it produces them en masse to guilt potential donors.
Society have normalized violence, right? And we became comfortable with that.
Wonder how the DVNF is going to feel now that their shirts are going to suddenly get very popular in a very different context.
Since Luigi Mangione.
Have you seen the shirt? Land of the Free Shirts, a national thrift shop staple, come from the most insidious veterans charities.
Targeted killings tied to ideology have become almost the norm. This is the 3rd or 4th assassination attempt that we've seen, and it's not going away. And just going back to, that there's a killer on the loose. This individual went all the way through the pathway of violence.
Wait, what is this? The ATF bulletin said the agents found engravings that are interpreted as expressing transgender or anti-fascist ideology on an ammunition inside a weapon believed to have been used by the murder of Kirk. 2 law enforcement sources told CNN the agents quickly ran an initial search on one of the markings, including a series of arrows, which analysts initially interpreted to be a connection to the transgender community. That information remains unverified. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's literally the bullet markings. Oh my God. Oh my God. They're so stupid. Oh my God. No, it's not Iron Front, dude. No, it's TRN. It's most likely TRN, and it is literally the stamp that they put on the back of the bullets. Oh my God. How can you be at the ATF? How can you literally be at the ATF and not know that these are like regular stamps that they have? Yeah, that's it. And I saw another bullet with a stamp with like arrows on it. Our Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms knows nothing about ammunition. They thought that an arrow imprinted on a cartridge was a transgender symbol. It's actually a head stamp. Every cartridge on Earth has this. Some have arrows. It identifies the manufacturer. Idiots. How are people at the ATF unfamiliar with like common? No, it can't be, right? Like, it has to be something different, right? There's no shot. There is no shot that the Bureau for Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is so oblivious to shit that is a common practice. It has to be someone that saw this and literally thought like, that's why it was in the preliminary assessment. Some dumbass said it, most likely, I assume. And then it was in the preliminary assessment, and it wasn't actually a part of the final analysis, but it got leaked to Steven Crowder. So we just went out with it. And then Wall Street Journal and CNN both, in an effort to not be outflanked by Steven Crowder, went along with this information as though it was valid, because they probably saw that the report was valid, but without making an additional assessment on whether or not this was finalized and ready for approval. And that's how we arrived at like the shooter was trans, and there's like trans engravings on a bullet. Insane that this is still up. Yeah. Wall Street Journal just posted this and did not even retract it. Crowder already went in court for bad reporting. Yeah, he also got a cease and desist from the ATF for this bad reporting as well. The ATF is suing Steven Crowder now that's also criminal liability too, because you're technically interfering in an active investigation. Turan doesn't make ammo in that caliber. It could actually be markings. Okay, chatter. It might not be Turan. It might not be Turan. It might be a different thing that it might be a different bullet marking that they thought was like pro-trans or something. What's more likely, that the shooter that literally left no imprint, like did everything physically possible to be able to get away with this, actually wanted the weapon to be found, so we just like left it behind with like some kind of, wait, what the is it effing? Many people are saying no F. I don't know why people are saying there's a mini F. Anyway, after a few followers mentioned they thought this might be referring to a manufacturing stamp, I had a quick look. Many manufacturers stamp with arrows, iron sights, or initials including TRN. This seems like something that anyone in law enforcement should know if they aren't a podcaster. I don't understand how you can be at the ATF and not know that. Paw prints are a dead giveaway, but sure, keep lying to the masses. That's true. He is a manimal. Yeah, it's right. You're right. I'm going with that as well. The shooter must have been half man, half animal. He gave paw prints away. Oh, fuck me, dude. Holy shit. But yeah, it's from a DVNF charity that the shooter got their shirt from. But he could have just like basically CCNN. He could have gotten the shirt from, what is this?
From your conservative colleagues. I don't know if you've been on the Hill earlier today, or I mean, is that improving any, or is it still as tense as it seems?
Well, one, you got to understand that Congress is a microcosm of the United States, right? So there's a lot of tension within the United States. I would argue that the president is right here, and he's right for blaming the left, because just look at the facts. The facts are the school shooter in Minnesota was a left-wing lunatic. The facts are the school shooter in Tennessee was a left-wing lunatic. So these shooters are more and more becoming these radical leftists.
Both of them were
so
fucking neo-Nazis in a Telegram
group. I can guarantee you this. President Trump is going to hunt down and find the killer of Charlie Kirk. And if he's not dead already, he's going to bring him to justice. And we should all be rooting for him, because this has rocked the foundation of our republic. When you don't have First Amendment rights, regardless of if somebody's left-leaning or right-leaning, it absolutely destroys the fabric of our nation.
I just want to note, though, I mean, you cannot omit, just a couple months ago, Democratic Minnesota state representatives were assassinated.
By a left-wing lunatic.
No, not by a left-wing lunatic. And so I do think that...
No, say it.
I think the point
He was
everybody
right-wing.
is
Just say
trying
he
to
was a
make is
right-wing
that
lunatic. What
if
is
we want to
going
get to
on?
the bottom of
It's the
violence, political violence, division, and hatred that leads to violence, that might lead to retribution if this is not handled properly, don't we have an obligation to talk to all of us, not just to talk to one
I hate this shit,
part
bro.
of the country?
The
I think that's what you saw tonight, right? The reason why we had this press conference was
killing
to
me.
put everybody's eyes to find this killer, right? And needed everybody, regardless of who was tuning in or not. The sooner we find this murderer, the better this country is. And if we don't find it, it'll be at a detriment to everybody.
Sure.
Congressman, with all due respect, this country
Kasparian.
is hungry for leaders. And you are an elected member of Congress, and no one's been apprehended yet. I understand what you're saying about political violence, and there has been political violence perpetrated by individuals who identify as on the left. But there's also been political violence perpetrated by those who are clearly on the right, as the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband makes abundantly clear. Please, I am begging you, lead the country from your position of power and try to bring the temperature down. I knew Charlie Kirk personally.
Right.
Charlie Kirk and I disagreed on almost every political issue.
Mm-hmm.
But what I appreciated about Charlie Kirk is he provided a platform for people like me to speak to a completely different audience and make my case. And I appreciated that about him, and I would like it if members of Congress, both on the left and right, found a way to harbor those types of conversations, both on the House floor, the Senate floor, and also on shows like this.
Well, first off, if anybody is murdering, if anybody is using political rhetoric and using political violence to silence their people that they don't agree with, we should all be against that. We should all push towards curbing that. Not just elected officials, but everyday individuals should also push for that. And part of that is we got to hold one another responsible and accountable. We can't just say, oh, it was somebody else's fault. All of us play a role in this. And look, I think the president is bringing us together. The fact that, you know, we forget it's 9/11. We forget it's the Memorial Day of 9/11. And where was the president? He was at Yankee Stadium today, shaking hands, bringing life to it.
Wow, he was
I'm not a
really
Yankees fan.
he was
but you
really
see
bringing
that
America
picture
together.
With him and all the Yankees baseball players.
He
the
was
crowd.
also referring to the political left as radical lunatics.
He was at the U.S. Open.
He
was at
speaks
UFC.
from both sides
the
of his
president
mouth.
has been very
and
active,
since
and I
his
appreciate
election
that.
in 2016, the
Can I ask
political
you-
rhetoric in this country has devolved further.
Can I ask you to respond to that part of what she's addressing, which is what the president said? When I saw someone say this this week, when you hear people, usually online, say they did this, they did that, when we're talking about one man who is a lunatic shooter, criminal, that is so discordant to a lot of this country they're just normal people who are appalled by this. But when you generalize an awful event like this to
Oh my God,
a whole
stop.
half of the country, as President Trump seemed to have done today,
That's crazy.
you're saying that that's bringing the country together, but a lot of people don't hear that.
What I'm saying is, sadly, there isn't just one incident. This isn't just on a decline. This is
Bro, this person who is
of where there is more and more
an elected representative has just been lying the entire time. And even Anna's pushback was like not as aggressive as should be. He's just straight up lying. He like talked about 3 Nazis basically being radical leftists.
And instead of blaming one another,
it is happening. It is happening. And the fish runs from the head down.
Of that. But I think the problem is you, sir, as a congressman, just singled out leftist attacks, and that of course leaves out things like the attack on the CDC just a few weeks ago. It leaves out lots of other attacks. I think the point is, particularly in your point of
yeah, I forgot about that.
Particularly on a day like 9/11, there's an obligation not to try to get political points, but to look at the broader cycle and to say we all need to step up. And we all, so am I, sir.
I mean, look at the school shooter in Minnesota. What are the facts in that case?
You apparently don't even recognize the facts around the assassination of the state legislatures.
Look at the fact. Let's start with the alligator nearest to the boat, which was the Minnesota school shooter.
Great.
Right. What I'm getting at
the
is
person was a Neo-Nazi. Was in a neo-Nazi Telegram group. Was in a white supremacist neo-Nazi Telegram group. I'm losing my mind. Has all the patterns. Has literally all the patterns of previous white nationalist shooters. Literally put the names of previous white nationalist prominent neo-Nazi mass shooters. What are we talking about? How in the ever-loving did this conversation turn into, oh, the person was actually a leftist? What do you mean? That's crazy. I feel like I'm losing my mind. It's just a lie. He's just lying. He's just straight up lying.
Makes people afraid.
I can't watch this shit,
play
man.
what
I can't.
Senator
This makes
Kevin
me so
Kramer
pissed.
said about what the mood is on Capitol Hill among his colleagues about this issue.
I was thinking yesterday, trying to drive out of the Capitol off the plaza, you've got 1,000 people working their way on foot, and we're very, very accessible. I like being accessible, but being accessible is starting to look like being vulnerable. And so I think there's a lot of us that are concerned about that.
Being accessible is starting to look vulnerable. Do you feel that way? Are you concerned about your own safety?
I am concerned, and so are a lot of my colleagues that are concerned. But this is how you defeat evil. This is how you defeat terrorists. This is how you defeat people that try to change our way of life, is you go right at them. This Saturday, guess what? We're having a campaign event. There'll be hundreds of people there in San Antonio. We are not going to back down. We're not going to be shy. We're not going to be silent. We're going to be vocal. And I think everyone should be that, whether it's a liberal view on the world or whether it's a conservative view on the world. We need to get back to having dialogue. And these people that are using political violence as their solution, they need to be the outliers, not the mainstream. And part of that is us being, the world has changed though, Abby. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Why weren't there drones at this event? If there was one drone in the air, it would completely change our view on things. I mentioned that because I'm a cryptologist.
You mean like a video
a physical drone. If you put one drone in the air, all of a sudden, every rooftop is covered. I mentioned that because this isn't the first time there's been a shooter from a rooftop. I want it to be the last
he's woke.
time. So let's
no, he's right.
incorporate-
Woke Utah didn't do drones. How much you want to bet this motherfucker this invested in a drone security thing? How much you want to bet this motherfucker is invested in like a mass surveillance drone security company?
The future is going to. I want you to all stand by. For
Yeah, I guess they didn't have rooftop control, man. What the? Drone control, not gun control, drone control.
Still dealing with moderate to severe ulcerative.
Oh my God. Yeah, also, so was the shooter in the Evergreen High School shooting yesterday. Desmond Hawley, 16, who was suspected of shooting and critically injuring 2 students, had been radicalized by an extremist network, the authorities said. Very high likelihood, also a part of that Telegram network, just like the Minnesota shooter, just like the Minneapolis shooter. But hey, guess what, dude? They could just say, oh, these guys are woke. They did it for wokeness. These guys, at this point, like back in the day, not every one of these guys would leave like a manifesto behind, right? They wouldn't leave like telltale markers of what their opinions are, who they want to kill, why they're doing this. Nowadays, they just write it out. They put a manifesto online. They film themselves writing the manifesto. They cover their guns. They cover their guns with like white supremacist shit. They say they're doing it for white supremacy. They say they're doing it because they're neo-Nazis. And then, after all is said and done, all the right needs to do is turn around and say, that's a leftist. And that's it. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Right-wingers will look at a person that is screaming that they love right-wing politics. They love it so much. Once again, the Minnesota shooter hung out with Brandon Herrera, who ran for office. He's a right-wing gun tuber who ran for office in the state of Texas. Okay? Said he liked Brandon Herrera. Had Anders Breivik slammed on the gun. Numerous other white supremacist mass shooters. And it's so crazy. It is so crazy that that liberals look at all of that and instead of being like, what the fuck do you mean this guy was left-wing? What are you talking about? He has slurs all over the gun against the guy. Oh, Brandon Herrera ran against the guy that we just saw on that panel. Amazing. Amazing. So this guy has to know. If a guy who ran for office was mentioned by a mass shooter, you probably know about that, right? So you know the shooter wasn't a leftist, right?
Was shot. Taking a question from somebody who did not like him.
That's right.
Somebody who totally disagreed with him. And very few people are willing to subject themselves to that.
That's actually very true. And I do really appreciate that about Charlie Kirk. I appreciated the fact that he wanted to, again, provide a platform for people who disagree with each other to have civil debate. And I think what we have moved away from as a country is a shared identity as Americans, regardless of what your political views are. You know, after the biggest and most tragic terrorist attack on U.S. soil on 9/11, the one thing that was different then compared to what's happening today is that Americans came together because they saw each other as fellow Americans. They had that shared identity. I don't know why we've moved away from that. I don't know why we have like dug in our heels in all the different things that make us different. But we have to be able to live in this pluralistic society, respect one another, and accept the fact that we're going to have political disagreements. It doesn't make you a bad person to disagree with someone.
No, that's the essence of democracy.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact. And part of that means recognizing you can disagree without demonizing people. But what's happening is dangerous. We've been through periods like this, the late 1960s and early 70s, there's a lot of political violence.
Exactly.
But you look back, today is 9/11. On 9/11, 2001, I was on the steps of City Hall. And you saw the way our country united.
Yeah, to kill Muslims.
For man-made disasters to unite. But
to kill random people far, far away, by the way, that had nothing to do with it.
Our country did not unite.
And also their neighbors, too. That too. Company, the country was so united.
We can't demonize people we disagree with. And political violence is always wrong, whether it's on, quote-unquote, your side of the aisle or the other side.
John, let me give you an example of where this is working. Why am I here in New York? I'm here in New York because there's a bipartisan congressional delegation that came here to D.C., came here from D.C. As part of the House Homeland Security Committee, both Democrats and Republicans going and visiting the 9/11 memorial together. Right now on Capitol Hill, you can't get Republicans and Democrats to be in the same elevator. More or less get us to travel with one another and spend this. But I tell you what, that was the first time that I visited that memorial, and it was somber, the emotions I went through. I spent 20 years in the military. You know, I remember 9/11 like it was yesterday. Like less than a week later, I was in Afghanistan. So here was an area that really changed the whole scope of my life, as did a lot of other veterans that served in Iraq and Afghanistan. So to your point, it is happening. There are some bipartisan moments that are occurring, but there needs to be more, and they also need to be more public.
Yeah, and people need to be honest that they're happening, because some people don't even want to admit it. And next for us, I want to talk about a disturbing revelation from the governor during that news conference that we just brought you about foreign actors in all of this discord.
Hold up. Didn't it take a few months to invade Afghanistan? I mean, yeah, but that shit, the preparation for it, you know, there was a lot of hatred that needed to go somewhere. One big issue leftists face with this is Hawk's view, Groypers as socialists because Nazis identified as nationalist socialists. Okay, well, that's crazy. Oh, Mr. Drone Tech. Oh, Mr. Drone Security. There he is. Representative Tony Gonzalez. This is the way. Back in American drone technology is a win for our economic and national security interests. I'm telling you, man, these guys don't go on television for no reason. Every time they go on television, it's to improve their bottom line, okay? They about to blame this on China if they don't find the shooter tomorrow? No, they're just gonna keep blaming it on trans people, like, and the left. That's also part of the reason why I'm like, you know, just I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just so far the biggest source of disinformation hasn't been Russia or China. It's been Kash Patel and anonymous agents, the trans ideology, and Antifa bullet. Remarkable statement from Governor Cox on social media aftermath of Charlie Kirk's murder. There's a tremendous amount of disinformation. He says there are bots from Russia, China, all over the world that are trying to instill disinformation. I would encourage you to ignore those. You know what's funny about this is like, this is us. This is homegrown. That's your neighbors. That's your followers, Governor Cox. That's the who voted for you that are running around being like, that's right, Antifa, transgender, Antifa. That's the ones who are running around. It's the president. It's the president that's spreading misinformation. The president is literally implying over and over again that this is a leftist assassination. There's no information whatsoever. He's like, well, it's done. It's over. You don't even need to find the guy. I already know who it is. We're doing it to ourselves, and dumb both on the left and the right, okay, still keep going, well, it's got to be the goddamn Chinese. Let me tell you, all of this misinformation got to be the goddamn Chinese and the Russians. No, man. It's a dude named Hank, okay? It's Brave Eagle Patriot 1776 on Twitter, okay? Maybe some of those guys are, you know, not coming from China, but India usually. But like most of the time, it's the dumb Americans who are homegrown misinformation specialists, okay? We just watched a Republican elected representative go on national news on CNN primetime and just straight up lie through his teeth. He said, well, it's the left. It's the left. It's always the left. Talking about like three different neo-Nazi mass shooting incidents that have taken place in the last couple of months, claiming that those guys weren't neo-Nazis at all. They were just leftists. Yeah, we can just keep going. Oh man, it's the Chinese. Yeah. Why don't we have healthcare? It's the Chinese and the Russians, dude. It's really up. It's the goddamn Chinese and the Russians. Why do we have so many guns on the street with no reasonable gun control solution? Up the goddamn Chinese and the goddamn Russians, dude. Great. Let's not fix anything, okay? Maybe throw Hamas in the pile. Throw Iran in the pile. It's the Iran. It's the Iranians. I don't even know what to say anymore, man. Hasan Reactions, one of the best ones in the React channel.